Welcome to the Daily Editors podcast, a podcast that reveals, reviews, and looks at pertinent issues that is affecting Kenya, Africa, and the whole region. And of course, today I'm privileged to host two gentlemen and another gentleman on phone. Of course, our standard group editors and reporter, Ndungu Gachane. Can you introduce yourself, Ndungu Gachane?
I'm here, Ndungu Gachane,
yes,
political reporter,
yes,
and ready to discuss the current events.
Okay.
Asante.
Karibu sana, Ndungu. And we move to Alex.
Yes, Alex Kiarie. I'm in charge of health science.
Yeah.
My desk basically deals with from health science course matters to do with climate action and gender issues. But besides that, I'm also a keen follower of geopolitics,
Yes, you are.
international matters, and just stuff that happen around us as a continent and as a country.
And of course, thanks, Alex. And of course, let's introduce Professor Didier Baki. He's on phone. Prof, please introduce yourself and tell us what is the current situation in Congo, DRC.
Thank you. Thank you, the journalist. I'm Professor Didier Baki, an expert for different security matters in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah.
I'm from Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo, so where I'm responding to your questions.
Yeah.
The situation currently in the Democratic Republic of Congo is like two different things. In the east of the country, especially in North Kivu, the capital of the province of North Kivu, Goma, was invaded by the special forces of Rwanda Defense Forces, which is the national army of the Rwanda. So this is bearing the name of M23, which is a movement, a rebel movement made from the peace agreement of March 23, 2009. Now, from the invaded the capital of the province, it has been more than 2 years, just closer to 3 years since the fighting started. They were moving forward, progressing toward the National Army of Democratic Republic of Congo, FRDC, until they reached the capital. Now, as the situation is currently in the city, the Rwandan forces are controlling 80% of the capital of North Kivu. There is killing going on. There is no network, internet shedding, and the communication has been very difficult. So it's now impossible to get the real picture of the situation. But there are some families living there which are giving us the real information about what is going on.
So
the other side of the country, there have been protests from citizens in Kinshasa demonstrating against the European, USA, and other Western embassies, accusing them for not doing enough to stop Rwanda from fighting the DRC. So yesterday there was some troubles around the city here in Kinshasa. Especially some embassies were burned by the protesters, but the situation is coming down now and the security is being reestablished by peace. So that's the two aspects of things, I think.
Prof, I heard even the attacks on the embassies included the embassy of Kenya, the embassy of Uganda, and the embassy of South Africa. Why were these 3 or 4 embassies targeted alongside the Rwandese? Is it because they feel that these African states have not been able to help them in the conflict, or they feel that these 4 countries have a hand in the conflict?
The responsible of the troubles in the east of the country is named Rwanda.
Yes.
Now, in beside Rwanda, when people are protesting, there is no leader who is leading them from doing this, doing that, or doing this. No. Everyone is doing whatever he wants, and the other people think that all the embassies are involved in the conflict. Now, that's in that confusion, you cannot say that the people will choose this to run this embassy or to attack this. They are just taking everything, all the embassies in general, accusing all of them that they are not doing enough to stop Rwanda, and they don't even support the DRC in the fighting which is going on in the east of the country, especially such as South Africa, which has more than 2,000 troops in the UN mission in Goma, which is the MONUSCO, and in the SADC international force coming from the South African Development Community, Economic and Development Community SADC. So since they have troops there, they are supposed to support the National Army of DRC, but they are failing doing that.
Okay.
Now, that's the reason why that, because they don't do anything to help the army. Now, they're also responsible for, they have a hand in what is going on. So this is why we can't control them, because they think otherwise from the real picture of the situation.
Okay. We'll come to you, Prof. Let me go to Alex. Alex, what do you think is the genesis of this conflict, and how can we stem this conflict? Uhuru was very pivotal in this role, and people are saying that the Angolan solution would have been much better to stop this.
The conflict in Congo is largely driven by the sample for minerals. It is all these efforts, and the whole thing actually comes from the 1994 Rwanda. Most of the Interahamwe forces that were involved in carrying out these killings in Rwanda escaped into northern Kivu. The North Kivu province borders Rwanda, and the capital Goma actually shares a place called Gisenyi. So if you go from Goma to Iran, this is very different. And then the then president of Congo, Mobutu Seko, didn't do enough to ensure that these who had been victims of the genocide accorded justice. Actually, he prevented Rwanda from suing this case. So it is for this reason that Rwanda, which was then backed by Ugandan forces under Museveni, being led under the back of Rwanda Patriotic Front, which is still a ruling party, was able forcefully gain access into the refugee camps actually killed so many Hutus on the soil of Congo. And since then, this place has had a population of Tutsis since the early 20s and 30s, those who are escaping conflict there. Unlike the Tutsis in South Kivu, who are mostly brought there by the King Leopold to come in as workers, the Tutsis in Northern Kivu were escaping conflicts between Hutus and Tutsis, which actually led the genocide. That was the last genocide. So that they were not accepted. They made the regular right for the Tutsis on the state of Congo. So locals as outsiders. And Paul Kagame has used to be a defender of Tutsis in the region. And please, the M23 has been the call of the Rwandan government to counter the Hutu power movement that's called Democracy for the Liberation of Rwanda, we have seen in Northern Kivu. There is this other thing that was also driving the conflict: the presence of cotton. Cotton is a resource, a mineral resource to make Lombardies at power phones, power electric vehicles, and now Rwanda has risen to be the biggest exporter of cotton in the world, despite having lots of cotton on its own soil. So it makes it a very interesting conflict.
Alex has brought up issues. One, the mineral scramble for minerals, and Rwanda has been exporting coltan, which we know scavenged from DRC. We know that Yoweri Museveni has been exporting lots of gold, and they don't have gold. Is it true to say that this conflict is conflict for minerals and resources, and people actually, outsiders, are invading Congolese people of their wealth? Professor
yes. Listen, I think Alex started by touching the roots, the source of this conflict. In fact, the source of this conflict is only Rwanda. It's a Rwandan conflict which doesn't have anything to do with the DC. Why? Because Tutsi citizens of Rwanda are not Congolese. Most of them are not Congolese. To are not Congolese. Yes, in fact, there are some Hutus around the border because this province of Rubavu, which shares with DRC, there are some Hutus that played the fighting in 1959 for the independence. And after the independence, they were supposed to be known as the Congolese. And DRCs at that time accepted that those people that were made by the independence in the side of DRC should remain Congolese. We can accept that. But the fact is, there are some Tutsis that were living, they played the fighting in Rwanda, that came in the east of DRC and they stayed there as refugees. Then in 1994, when the RPF come to power in Rwanda, all those Tutsis returned back to Rwanda as Rwandese. And they even left the DRC by saying officially that we return in our country because we've taken the power, and then we can live there because it's our country. There is no need for any one of them to stay in DRC. In 1996, President Laurent Kabila, when he led his Alliance for Democratic Forces for Liberation of Congo, when he came, he had entered troops. Now, those young men that went to Rwanda to support the RPF coming to power in Rwanda, they were recruited again to come back to DRC to accompany Laurent Kabila so that to take power in DRC and see how this issue of Rwandan refugees, the Hutu refugees, could be addressed military. They were, most of them, about 3 million of them were killed between Goma and Kisangani. I know, I don't think you've forgotten the story of Tingi, Walikale, Musenge, that they were killed by the Tutsi. And this city was supposed to come back after having supported Mr. Laurent Kabila. The reason why they all the proposals they made to them so that they go back with this issue of coal. That is the discovery of coltan, and it was a shortage of coltan. So they said, no. The reason where this mineral, particular mineral, is located is North Kivu, South Kivu, Maniema, and Tanganyika. And those places were under their control. They said, we can't leave this side. Then Kagame exploited signing with international organizations and companies to start exporting the coltan from side. That's the reason of the beginning of the Second War in the DRC. Due to the fact that Kagame succeeded to build his economy and his country using these minerals, then he is using as excuse this question of FDLR, which is Democratic Forces for Liberation of Rwanda. He said, no,
Kagame and the exports.
2000.
Yes.
But Kagame uses this, Kagame used this excuse of the presence of this FDLA that they are the source of the problem because they are threatening the security in Rwanda while they have never attacked Rwanda. Now, there is no reason we can discuss about Rwandan issues because the FDLA are Rwandan people and these Tutsi are also Rwandese. They have to resolve to address their issue in Rwanda, and not attacking Congo is not going to help them there. The problem, the real issue, is about the minerals of all the trouble in the region. That's how the situation is.
Add something because what about the Rwandan force? I know very well that Seseko did not acknowledge the fact that some villagers who died the genocide in Rwanda actually illustrated this earlier. They've been about this, but I would like to raise that issue of Uganda because I don't think there's a very innocent there. I recall during the second Congolese War, I think 2010, just after when Rwanda lost beat Uganda to a war. Ugandan returned and high off the province of Ituri from the land of Otieno province, and we all know what happened there between the Lendu Hema people and how General called James Kazini was instrumental in ensuring that the access by Ugandan forces to the gold deposits are up in Uganda. So we should not, as we blame Rwanda, we should not also blame entirely, we should also not isolate Uganda, because Uganda and Museveni specifically have been clear in most of the revolutions that have happened in Uganda, in DRC, and in Rwanda. Remember that there were big guys. There was General Kabila, there was Paul Kagame. Then Rugema actually was the man who started off. He was inherited by Rugema. He was killed during the conflict in Rwanda, after RPF launched the war in 1990, had who was then the intelligence chief in Uganda, now go and take RPF. So Rugema had been known to be a very sober person, but now Paul Kagame, after he was backed by Ugandans to take over Rwanda, there was a pact that back Laurent Kabila, who's not actually a Tutsi, he was a Luba, to take over the country. And the agreement how was supposed to be sharing resources, but there was a fallout. And this is what led to the killing of Laurent Kabila, and then after installed his son Joseph Kabila has also been a very key player. However, truth of the matter is this is Congolese problem. And the of M23 was a result of the fact that have been seen in President Kagame of Congo, Feli Tshisekedi. He had promised to deal with M23 and he misses his election, and that's how he was voted. However, he has been able to contain M23 to contain and they lay the system in the region. And this needs to become emboldened. And even if they have to sustain the post of this election, and at the same time, not just called that, even in Prof, there are presence of Rwanda there, and some foreign entities that first about as a response to this, because I know that there are more countries that have very huge military bases in Rwanda, and who controls. So maybe you can tell us about that.
I want to bring in my good friend Gachane. Ndungu, who was at the key when he's talking about peace talks. Yeah, what is the solution for East African states in this conflict?
We have realized that one of the main issues contributing to these conflicts is minerals. And then we have the treaties, the agreements, and we now have the East African community, and we understand that President William Ruto had actually called for that meeting today. But as to whether the meeting will happen, we are not sure. So this issue of people seeing each other, like the downgrading each other, the issue of countries within the East Africa community, I want to see my brother as a lesser brother. I want to see him as an equal partner. And then I want to contribute to some issues, some problems, so that I benefit. So if we can have political goodwill across the community, and then we have respect to the treaties and the agreements that we contribute, that is the main solution to what is going on. Because the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, today, I believe he is also supposed to be an integral part of the peace process. But where is he today? He is in Mombasa attending another forum. President William Ruto is also not in Kenya. We know that he has gone, no, he is actually in another country, not even Tanzania. So this means that the issue of brotherhood is no longer there. Number two, we do not, we want to also contribute to some problems to some other countries for you to benefit. You get? So lack of political goodwill and lack of respect and cooperation is the main issue leading to these issues.
No, let me just add on that, and also at the same time oppose what you're talking about. Right now, the most senior presidents we have in the region is Yoweri Museveni, followed by Kagame in terms of experience. What can the leaders of this region tell these guys?
But listen, Alex, remember this East African Cooperation. Yeah. And East African Cooperation stipulates the rules of engagement between these countries and common markets, common territory, and businesses, and also how the citizens are supposed to relate with each other. You've seen Kagame has bbeen accused several by Felicia, the president of the DRC, on the issues when they meet during East African community sessions, saying that you are sponsoring war in my territory, yet you are pretending to be my friend. And this one now we bring the Prof to it. How can East Africa communities be a key player in conflict resolution? Prof. Didier.
Yes, but at least before responding to that question, I want to correct something which happened here. Because Alex said President Tshisekedi promised that he will be dealing with the M23 or working together with them or responding to their requirements. I think that is not good. It's not true, because me, as I'm speaking here, I was one of the negotiator of the peace agreement which led to M23. We discussed that in Nairobi before repatriating the negotiation to Goma, under the facilitation of President Benjamin Mkapa for the African Union and Olusegun Obasanjo as facilitators for the United Nations. We discussed and we addressed this matter of M23. In the peace agreement, it was clearly written that they should be integrated into the National Army of DRC. And Kabila, during his mandate, did that. He even given them 6 generals in the army, and all their troops integrated the army. There was no reason for them coming back again and say that we are aiming that this peace agreement is respected. Tshisekedi is an innocent in that. He doesn't know what was leading in Goma. Secondly, among all the people that are leading M23 today, one of them was there when negotiating the agreement. And they even know this member that are saying, oh, we are claiming that this agreement has been implemented. Nobody among them, those who are in Bunagana and that have taken out Goma, none of them was there. So there is a manipulation which the government of Rwanda is using, convincing people that because there are some refugees that are in Rwanda, which Congolese government refused to receive from them and maybe finding them a place where to live. So he is fighting for defending those people. That's the main excuse which is used the government of Rwanda, which is not because all the Tutsi that ran away from DRC because of the fighting have came back themselves. Nobody is taking care of them, or nobody is helping them or treating them. We have a Banyamulenge in the South Kivu. They are there. Nobody is touching them, and they are under the government security maintenance. But why only these people that have taken Goma are the ones that are came to take the Tutsi? If the matter is for Tutsi, why not looking for a way of discussing with the government and say, oh, these are the families from DRC? I was a member of the commission that went to Rwanda in 2009, while the CNDP was claiming that we have 50,000 families of Tutsi in Rwanda. But we went there, we only see 74 persons. Those 74 people were from Bukavu because they were families of Jules Mutebusi who were fighting in Bukavu in 2004. Now this is in fact. Now this is from Tanzania, from Uganda to their countries, since their land have been already distributed to other Rwandese. Kagame needs to face with them because Rwanda is full of people and they no longer face. So all that matter have to be in the East African community. So to find an asylum for that these guys are running from Rwanda, look for a place where to live. That's not the problem. But the main problem is those excuses which Kagame is using to threaten Congo and signing a contract with the European Union for lithium that has never existed in Rwanda, that he will be supplying them. I don't know where is he going to find it, if not in DRC. But taking it in DRC, he's using weapons. That's the cause of the conflict. That's the cause of the war which is currently going on in the east of the country. So in the East African community, they should take this matter seriously and say, please, Kagame, if you need to use your contract for supplying these materials or these minerals or this, please discuss with the state of DRC and you can make a common exploitation of your resources as you already have a market. And not coming with your weapons, with your army, killing innocent people, using false excuses that are even strengthening as a conflict in the region. That is not going to help all the African community. Because nobody will accept it leaving his land for someone who is exploiting because he used force. Congolese people will defend, and this war is going to take long.
Prof, I do agree with you about the Rwandan connection. And actually, before 2012, April, when a man called Bosco Ntaganda defected with around 300 troops from the Congolese army, the agreement actually held. But this man actually was not Congolese. He still is not Congolese. He was a man born in Rwanda. He fought with RPF, but he had been consolidated into the Rwandese army until April. I also need to agree with that. for the President Feli Tshisekedi, this is an inherited problem. All these agreements were entered into with Kabila Joseph, the son to the late Laurent Kabila. However, this man was able to be implemented. It was being used by the Rwandese. I totally agree with you on that. However, if you look at the messaging of President Feli Tshisekedi when he was vying for his second term, remember that even his first win against Joseph Fayulu was contested until an agreement in Nairobi that he be the president of Congo. However, the second term was largely based anchored on fighting and defeating M23, which he was not able to. In 2022 November, the East African Community deployed what they called the East African Regional Community Force, which was supposed to go and maintain peace. However, he was expecting to go and participate in the conflict by fighting alongside the Congolese army against M23, which was not mandate of this force. And we know very well that this force was actually financed by the European Union. So it is his texture and his messaging that has put him at loggerheads with the leadership around. And this is how even the Kenyan army was disgracefully kicked out of the whole matrix. So there is a failure on the part of the president, and there's also a failure on the part of the East African community and the entire international community, because we are not supposed to go there to fight for you. We are supposed to go there and maintain peace. And that's keeping us and fighting force are two different missions.
Let Didier Professor answer that, and then we go to the gentleman. Do you have any rebuttal to Alex's assertion that President Feli Tshisekedi inherited a problem that the magnitude is so big that he cannot deal with, and that he needs maybe the East African community to step in? And what was the origin of this conflict between the peacekeeping force? The Kenyan force was brought in, and they had to be brought out very quickly from Congo.
And before he does it, still, can you also tell us why President Tshisekedi turned to SADC after this East African community regional force failed?
I wanted to make things clear here. Of course, I agree with Ali for this question of saying that East African regional forces came to support peace, and not to fight against any of the involved parties in the conflict. That's correct, because at the international level, in a resolution of conflict, there are two things we have to make a difference between. The first one is if a country calls for another for support as a two countries, two states, you can use their troops in any fighting and resolve your problems. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is a regional mechanism that can use their forces to support a legal established government. That's another aspect. But in this whole region of East African community, Tshisekedi went there. They proposed to Tshisekedi to send a force that came to maintain peace. That's a peacekeeping mission, which is not a fighting or defensive or offensive mission. They couldn't fight. And that was the wrong interpretation which made Mr. Tshisekedi toward this force. They were supposed to withdraw themselves because the DRC president expectation was not what was exactly the mission assigned to this troop. That's correct. But in this war matter, you cannot say that Tshisekedi failed. No, he didn't fail. He was in a campaign saying he will fight Rwanda. That's a political campaign which I don't know any leader can use. But the fact is that the origin of this M23 doesn't not depend with Tshisekedi coming to power. No, it's even not from Kabila. It's Rwanda, Paul Kagame, because those guys, Bertrand Bisimwa and his mates, were supposed to be in Uganda. But Uganda sent them back to Rwanda to respond to Rwandan government demands that they have to go there to start a new faction of rebels to start fighting in the DRC and take over some spaces where they can keep extracting resources. All the issues is turning around minerals, not what people are telling Tutsi, Hutu. I have some friends, Professor Francois Ruchokoza, who is a Tutsi. He is in Goma. He refused completely that he can't rejoin the M23 because it's not a Congolese movement. it's not a Congolese fighting, but it's from Rwanda. Now, this manipulation of changing the reasons of the war is extending the suffering of the people, the citizens in the east of the country. But I would like to suggest to the East African community that they can't leave this situation and continue deteriorating, because it will cause even consequences to all the region. All those countries are not going to stay stable without being affected, because the refugees will go there and it will be like a heavy charge they have to take care of. But at this time, there is no reason that they have to keep quiet and see the situation deteriorating. Tshisekedi has already decided that he won't discuss with anybody.
Prof, remember that I do agree with you that there was some aspect of an oversight issue about the deployment of that East African Regional Community Force, because even in that force we had Rwandese and Ugandan forces as part of the force. So clearly there could be something that we can do as a region, but not when it's involving the players and the contestants in the whole conflict.
I think, Alex, you've captured it. Prof, thank you very much. I think you've really given us what we really needed to hear from the ground, and your expertise in that conflict resolution and peacekeeping mission in DRC is that's immense wealth. We will come back to you for closing remarks, but for now, I want to go back to my friend Ndungu Gachane, because he's not spoken much. Yeah, if you look at the situation on the ground, and the people are saying that the Congolese problem can be solved by the Angolan solution. And number two, they're saying, you remember President Uhuru Kenyatta has been at the forefront of trying to quell this conflict. What stake does Kenya have in the whole of this mess?
You see, when there is fight in your neighborhood, if you do not act, if you do not assist, that problem will automatically pour to your house. Now, Kenya is standing in a very precarious situation, because number one, the issue of, and I think the professor has talked about it, the issue of refugees. If there is fight in DRC Congo, those people may come here to seek asylum. That is number one. Number two, a very important aspect of Azimio leader Raila Odinga's African Union Commission chairmanship bid. Now, and you remember, as we talk about it, we know that President Ruto is the chairman, is the chairperson of the EAC. Now, how he deals with this situation, his success or failure will automatically reflect on how Raila Odinga, who is Kenya's candidate, and to an extent, East African communities candidate for AUC. And remember, the elections are due to, they are about to be held on, I think next month.
Yes, February 15.
How many days from now?
15 days.
So how President Ruto deals with the whole situation will not only affect Kenya, but it will also affect its candidate for AUC. That's how I see it.
Alex, what is your closing remark?
I think the whole conflict in that country will continue until an entity with a big whip walks into or wades into the issue and compels Rwanda and its allies to pull back to their lines and ensure that they respect the territorial integrity of their neighbor. And beyond that, it will also need a lot of changes and shifting of mindsets around our old reliance on electronic gadgets, because if at all, and I'm not saying that this conflict should continue, if at all Congo is allowed to tax the minerals that come out of it, some of us may not be able to afford some of these gadgets that we normally walk around with, the mobile phones, the electric vehicles and everything. And there should be that aspect of enforcement of all the laws that have been put in place, international laws, when it comes to mining and distribution of blood resources, which are actually aggravating the situation on the ground, and at the same time fueling competition in AI and all these other sectors that we now depend on as a global community. And more importantly, there should be that understanding that Rwanda can actually benefit more from a peaceful Congo, and the same with Uganda, without necessarily aggravating and killing innocent people. Remember that Congo right now has the highest or the second highest number of refugees in Kenya flocking into the country, after Burundi and I think Somalia. And then also we have got this other country that is now coming up in terms of conflicts, in terms of also distribution of refugee populations across the continent, and that is Sudan. And the Sudanese problem is the same problem that is now facing, that Congo has been facing. It's about resources, especially gold. And remember that the Congolese conflict is the second worst human catastrophe to happen since the Second World War. Over 20 million people dead, and still more dying. So we should act now.
Thank you, Alex. Let me go to Prof. Prof, please give us your closing remarks on the situation and how do you see us moving forward?
Okay, thank you. I think the solution for this conflict in the east of the DRC, especially in the region, is that the Democratic Republic of Congo has to build his army. Since the DRC doesn't have a strong army, while having attractive natural resources, there would be troubles all the time, because they don't want to cooperate by making a common exploitation of those resources. And those resources are interesting the world. They have to build an army to protect these minerals. Secondly, DRC has to be open. But at the other aspect of things, people would have to stop to listen to this manipulation of Kigali that is giving him reasons to invade Congo. Because there is no reason, nothing can be based on a peace agreement which was signed between Congolese and foreign countries come and say, I want this agreement to be implemented. Means this movement, which is called CNDP M23 or any other name they have, were not real rebel movement, but they were Rwandan deployment of his forces, giving them a name in DRC to protect his interests and not the way people are thinking about. So this manipulation using tribe, Tutsi or Hutu, are nothing. They don't have anything to do with the conflict. We have to resolve it between DRC and Rwanda. That's how the situation is.
All right. Thanks, Prof. Alex, maybe you'd get us someone from Rwandese embassy to reply.
Because there are so many accusations that are now being leveled against Rwanda.
Yeah.
There's that need to have a voice from Rwanda. But remember that the president of Rwanda has also spoken about M23, its origin and the reason of its existence. And beyond that, building the army that the Prof is proposing, the laws that govern the extraction, exploitation, and export of minerals in Congo also need to be looked into. Because as we speak right now, the law that is being applied is the one that was introduced by Mobutu in the 60s when he took over power, where if you find minerals in your backyard, you are free to sell to whoever you want. And this is what has actually created those loopholes that now are seeing even foreigners now getting involved in this thing. Because the conflict in Congo is about displacements. If resources are found on your land, militias come in, they kick you out. Now you go form your own militia, you come and now try to retake your land. That's how it is.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Gachane, do you have anything to say?
No, I just want to, a quick one that governments, even if we keep here blaming Rwanda, what I know is government exists in perpetuity. Yeah. And we may try to exempt Tshisekedi because of what is happening. But it is the president's duty to protect its people. So I concur with the professor that that country also needs to rebuild its army, because one of the functions, roles of an army is to protect your people, especially against the territorial aggression. Yes.
I think, gentlemen, we have really dissected this issue, and let's thank the Professor Didier Bitaki for a great conversation. Yes. And of course, Alex and Ndungu for your contribution, which have been immense on this issue, which is emerging in Eastern DRC. Or what I would say is that it seems like it's a second scramble for the Congolese minerals again. And we need to be very careful with how this conflict pans out, because it's the people who suffer, it's the weak, the women and the children, and we are not ready to have another displacement in the East African region. So for our listeners out there, we will keep on this subject from time to time. We will come back with the Rwandese response to this, if we can get someone else can hook us up. And Prof, please, tomorrow we might need you, or the other day, to continue with this discussion on the Congolese conflict and what ways do we need to stop it and have a peaceful coexistence. I think that is it from me, and thank you very much for watching and for listening. All right. Welcome to the Daily Editors podcast, a podcast that reveals, reviews, and looks at pertinent issues that is affecting Kenya, Africa, and the whole region. And of course, today I'm privileged to host two gentlemen and another gentleman on phone. Of course, our standard editors and daughter, Ndungu Gachane. You can introduce yourself, Ndungu Gachane.
I'm here, Ndungu Gachane,
yes,
political reporter.
Yes.
And ready to discuss the current events.
Okay. Karibu sana Ndungu. I move to
Alex Kiarie. I'm in charge of health and science.
Yeah.
My desk basically deals with, apart from health and science, of course, matters to do with climate action and gender issues. But beside that, I'm also a keen follower of geopolitics,
yes, you are.
International matters, and just stuff that happen around us as a continent and as a country.
And of course, thanks, Alex. And of course, let's introduce Professor Didier Bitaki. He is on phone. Prof, please introduce yourself and tell us what is the current situation in Congo, DRC.
Thank you. Thank you, the journalist. I'm Professor Didier Bitaki, an expert on defense and security matters in the Great Lakes region. I'm from Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo, from where I'm responding to your questions. The situation currently in the Democratic Republic of Congo is like two different things. In the east of the country, especially in North Kivu, the capital of the province of North Kivu, Goma, was invaded by the special forces of Rwanda Defense Forces, which is the national army of the Rwanda. So this is bearing the name of M23, which is a movement, a rebel movement made from the peace agreement of March 23, 2009. Now, from the invaded to the capital of the province, it has been more than 2 years, just closer to 3 years since the fighting started. They were moving forward, progressing,